Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sports Hour on Abbey 104. It's Conor O'Hara with you till 7, and we're also joined by Chris from the Dorset Classic Scramblers. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Conor.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks.
Good. And it's lovely to have you with us. And we'll be talking to Chris throughout the show. Turns out he's a Yeovil Town, avid Yeovil Town fan, so no doubt I'll be grilling him all about the news I've got coming up from there. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, our guest Chris Wiles is a season ticket holder, avid Yeovil fan. Thoughts, Chris, on the players leaving? How's it going to affect the club?
I'm very disappointed, really, that we're going to lose all three of them. I mean, Mark Steck's been an outstanding keeper, and Luke's served the club really well in the 4 years that he's been there. So I'm disappointed, but unfortunately, Yeovil's station in the football life means that we do have to get rid of our better players, and we can't stand in their way. But I'd be even more disappointed if the manager left. Yeah,
and what do you think the likelihood of him staying is? I mean, we've reported on Sports Hour that he would love to stay at the club, but only if the chairman and the committee can offer him, a real vision for the future. Do you think the club can come through with that for him?
I think it's very difficult because Yeovil's always been a very well-run club financially, and they're not one of these boom and bust clubs. So I hope that the management team can give Johnson what he needs to fulfil his dreams and aspirations.
Yeah, and my personal opinion, I struggle to see where the money can come from to fund his aspirations. Do you think they can club that together?
I think they need to find outside sources of income. Because quite clearly, although we've been relegated this last season just gone, the football has been extremely entertaining, but the crowds have been quite disappointing, to be honest. And yeah, I can't see that the revenue's going to come from the crowds. We need to look for some financial input somewhere else.
Yeah. It all sounds like Coventry City's story for me, but don't let me get on my political soapbox with that.
The best music, real live radio.
You're listening to Abbey 104,
and it's time to talk to the chairman of the Dorset Classic Scramblers, Scramblers or Scramble Club? Scramble Club, Chris Wiles, and I'm lucky enough to have him join us in the studio. I'm very grateful for him for making the effort to come down. So, Chris, for those of us who don't know scrambling, or aren't into our bikes, talk me through it. What is it as a sport?
Scrambling is the older fashioned name for the modern connotation of motocross. Basically, it's suitably prepared bikes for riding over a rough terrain course, usually in races of 36 riders over a set amount of laps, and a lap would probably be somewhere in the region of a mile long. Okay. So, how long has the Classic Scramble Club itself been around? Well, our club is relatively new in Classic Scramble and Twin Shock terms. We formed in the British Legion Club in Stallbridge in 2005, where a gang of about 25 of us met and decided that we wanted to run Classic and Twin Shock Scrambles in a safe and controlled environment. So we got together. People threw a little bit of money into the kitty to get us going. We joined the AMCA, which is a national accredited body, which you have to have some accreditation to run an off-road speed event. And in 2006, we ran our very first event.
Oh, and talk me through that first event. Where was it? What was the plan?
The very first event was at Milburn St Andrew, where we had a total of, I think, about 130 riders. We had a great day, a lot of help from the farmer, and we were able to sell quite a lot of advertising in our programme that set us up. We were quite fortunate in the fact that we were able to get a lot of equipment from the old Sturminster Newton Motorcycle Club, which had still just about run, but not actually putting events on. So they still had some equipment which we were able to make use of. So that helped us enormously.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they wrapped the club up a couple of years later, they actually donated the money that they had to our club. So our club is pretty much run on the basis of the old Sturmiston Newton Club, which was a very old club, but unfortunately it's sort of run its course.
Run its course, and these things happen. But it's good to see that the Dorset Classic Scramble Club is trying to keep it going in the area. So, how many other do you have meetings regularly? Do you race regularly? How does it all work?
Well, we're an individual club, although we're part of the AMCA. But we do now run 3 Scramble events a year. But in the last, I think, 6 years, we've also run a trial the day before a Scramble. A trial is a similar type of activity, but it's run over short sections on suitable bikes, very difficult terrain, very tight and nadgery. We usually run those, as I say, the day before. Similar aged bikes, which we'll come on to in a minute. Plus we run some trials throughout the winter as well. So last year we ran 10 events in total. We also run a couple of social events. We have a prize giving and perhaps go out for a meal as a group as well.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I must say, getting involved with Sports Hour is great to see sort of that old-fashioned British community spirit coming together in the form of all of these little associations and clubs. And it also goes to show that if you can think of a hobby and you enjoy it, there's somebody else out there that'll help you to form a club with it. So if somebody was listening and they wanted to get involved in any way, shape or form, even if it was just come down to have a watch at one of your events, how would they do that?
Well, the first thing is, of course, we have a website like everybody else, which is www.dorsetclassic.com. There's loads of information on there and contact details. I would always advise somebody, if given it's the right time of year, to come and have a look at one of our events and see what we're about.
Brilliant. So what will be on offer at there? Can people just turn up and watch if they fancy it?
Yeah. Basically, it's £5 to get in for an adult, and accompanied children under 16 are free of charge. For that, you'll get a programme that'll tell you all the riders' names, the bikes that they're on, and the race format.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get much free these days, so if you've got any kids under 16, do bring them along. Chris, thanks very much. What we'll do is we'll go. You've requested Queen bicycle race, which is, I think that's very fitting as far as it goes. So we'll have a listen to that now, and after we come back, we'll talk more all about the club. But Chris, thanks very much. And here is Queen. Sports Hour on Abbey 104. It is indeed Sports Hour on Abbey 104. I must say, I can never get over how silly I sounded having to do that jingle myself. So I stood in my conservatory with a microphone trying to do my best deep voice, and I couldn't quite pull it off. Dearie me. We've got Chris Wells in the studio from the Dorset Classic Scramble Club. That track there, bicycle race. Chris requested that. Obviously, it's very apt. The most probably bike-related Queen song I've ever heard. And we're back talking with him now. And just before that song, we were just talking about how to get involved. If you're interested, go to www.dorsetclassic.com. But carrying on with what's the club all about, really? What do you say is the best part about the club?
Well, one of the main things that we always strive to achieve is that everybody has fun. We have a lot of fun socially as well as on the track. Obviously, there's a competitive edge to it, but we do have a lot of fun. One of the strengths of our club, for sure, is we have twin shocks divided into 4 groups. They're divided in ability. So the guys in A group are the really quick guys, the ones that are really keen on being competitive, moving right the way down through to D group, which are the people that's got an old bike or maybe an immaculate bike that they just want to give a bit of a run out occasionally and not be so competitive. And that's been a real plus for us to be able to grade people, to give everybody the opportunity to compete on a level playing surface, if you like.
Yeah, level playing field that they're happy with. Yeah, though obviously it's not quite that level if it's if it's off-road riding. What about the sport in general? What is it that attracts people to it? Is it a boys in their toys kind of thing?
Pretty much is, but the classic twin shocks scene is generally your midlife crisis age person reliving their youth. That's generally how it seems to pan out. We run basically in 3 categories with bikes. We have the pre-65 bikes, which would be your old BSAs, Triumphs. We've got a couple of Velocets that come regularly. Then we move up to the pre-74 bikes. CZs tend to dominate that, maybe the occasional Bull Taco. And then we move up to twin shocks, which generally is up to about 1981-82 aged bikes. Just for anybody who's sort of slightly more technically minded, a twin shock has to have 2 rear shocks, 2 rear shock absorbers, an air-cooled engine and drum brakes. That's the ideal sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Although we do allow homemade or modified bikes as well, but they need to adhere to that criteria.
Adhere to those rules. I must say, from what little experience I've had of biking, I would not take something with drum brakes on an off-road circuit myself. But what do I know about classic scrambling? Now, is there anything else that the club gets involved with? Anything, charity work or such that the club works for?
Well, local charities have always been a big and important part of our club. In the 9 years we've been running, we've raised over £25,000 for local charities.
25,000, really?
Yep. Majority of that has gone to the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance.
Yeah. But
we have supported other organisations such as the Alfie O'Neill Fund, which is a lad with cerebral palsy over in Gillingham. There's another lad with cerebral palsy, Ben Tickner Fund. We've supported that in the past. Julia's House, various other local charities, and that's been a big thing for us. So we generally run a dedicated draw at the Scramble for that. And we're not a profit-making organisation, so sometimes we can supplement it with our own funds as well.
Yeah, I must say, £25,000 in nine years. Did you say? Yeah. I think Taft's just turned up. I think we need to get him hired for the radio. If
Certainly get some money in for us.
Yeah, £25,000 in 9 years for Abbey 104. That'd be absolutely champion. That would, as Guy Martin might say. Are there any particular stories, anything witty that you've ever witnessed that really sums up classic scrambling for us?
Especially about Bez, Paul Feltham. Any news or anything we can put on him, that'll be better.
Well, we had a scramble a couple of years ago over at Dameron, which is actually just in Hampshire. We spread our wings quite wide and far, and it was quite a dusty day. And halfway through the day, the dust was getting quite thick, and it was Paul's race. And we actually felt this tremor. We thought that there'd been a minor earthquake, but it was actually Buzz falling off. He did actually knock himself out, but he was perfectly fine afterwards.
As long as he's okay, we can.
How did you tell if he's knocked out or not?
Well, the conversation got a lot more intelligent.
I must say, I am not party to this. I'm an innocent bystander in this little feud that's going on.
This is a little bit unfair because Paul Feltham and Nigel Martin are as we speak, actually marking out our track for our next event on June 1st.
I did get a message saying that you should be there helping them, actually, because they said they're getting quite warm doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had a better offer.
Well, if coming on Sports Hour is a better offer for a classic scrambler than marking out a track, then I think I'm going up in the world personally. But cracking stuff. And I do hope he's not listening in, because I'm gonna get so much hate mail now, Taff.
They will certainly get it on the repeat tomorrow night if he doesn't get it now. But then again, he should actually be busy, shouldn't he?
He should be. Yeah, he should be working.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Well, any issues can be addressed to Taff Martin in writing. That's Taff Martin, care of Abbey 104. Deary me. Chris, your next scramble. Let's just go over that. Over that again before we say thanks and bye. It's June, East Charlesbury, yes.
Yeah, but the day before, on the Saturday, we will have a trial. That's free to come and watch. There'll probably be 40 or 50 competitors going around the various sections, having a lot of fun. I mean, it is worth watching, because the antics some get up to with the various bits of machinery, and the way they carry on is really worth coming to see. You'll get a preview of the scramble track. But like I say, the scramble is on the Sunday. Practice starts at 10:15. We tend to run straight through from practice till dinner time, which is around 1 o'clock. We have a 45-minute break to give the marshals and paramedics and everybody a bit of a break, and then we move into the second block of racing. A block of racing is 6 races.
Six races solid.
Yeah. So we actually have in this scramble a feature race straight after dinner. It's the Nigel Revel Memorial Trophy. That's by invitation for the better riders. It's always a fantastic event to watch.
Yeah.
And then that'll be, as I say, followed by the 2 more blocks of racing.
Cracking stuff.
So
well,
a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested, do come on and give a shout. And Taff's waving at me. He's got something else to mention.
Just wondering, Red, because I can imagine how dangerous it can be with something like this. And you obviously got all the marshals and things like that. But do you have many injuries at all?
We've never had any serious injuries, really. We've had broken bones, the odd broken bone, but as a club, we've never had anything too much, not life-threatening. Or
certainly no more dangerous than rugby or any of the other sports than anything like that.
I bet you get as many collarbone injuries in rugby as we do scrambling. We wouldn't get a broken bone every meeting.
No.
Okay.
You go.
I'll get that.
No worries. Oh, it's not coming through on this phone. I must say, when he started talking about injuries then and rugby, I thought he was setting himself up for a football joke then. But we managed to have dodged that one. Chris, I must ask, your bike, do you take part in any of the races? Do you have your own?
No, I don't these days. I just don't find time with organising side of the club. I just can't find time to. I still go out green laning. And do the trials that we run and that sort of thing, but I don't scramble anymore.
No,
these days.
Well, it's all part of being the chairman, is it? Somebody's got to be the voice of reason, haven't they?
Well, maybe.
No comment.
We have a fantastic team behind us, so it's not all about the chairman.
Of course. We'll go for another track there. Chris, thanks ever so much for coming in. It's always a pleasure to get a guest in, especially when we can have as much fun as we have then. And I'm very, very grateful for whoever just called the station to get Taff off the microphone, because he was setting himself up for a joke there. But anyway,
I did get a message that Chris is a marked man.
As long as I'm not a marked man,
from Buzz.
I have absolutely no trouble with that whatsoever. But yeah, time for another track then, and we'll round off the show after a bit of eagle eye sharing. We're just coming up to it's just gone past 10 to 7. Taff is in with us. We've also got our guest Chris Wells has been with us for the whole hour, and now it's time really to wrap up the show with our sporting question. And our sporting question this week was quite a good one, really. It's quite getting back to the jovial nature, what's the strangest name for a sport you've ever heard? And I'm just going to check the Twitter feed to see if we've had any responses then. So, gentlemen, can we kick us off? Strange names for sports.
Well, I've got one because I was actually there a couple of weeks ago. Right, I was actually playing at this event, and I was asked, "Have I ever done any knob throwing?"
I was going to say that.
Yeah, and I'd never heard of it at all. But apparently, it's a Dorset thing where they throw knobs of bread or like a biscuity type thing, and so it's a knob throwing. And it's all well done and all this, all organised and everything. Brilliant. I think they do down in Catterstock is the main place. So.
Yeah. It's not.
That's the strangest one I know of.
Yeah, it's not long. It's not long gone. The festival's not long gone. It is just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yep.
Chris, you had. I believe you had quite a decent offering.
Yes, my suggestion is Dwyle flunking. I'm not entirely sure of the rules or where it's played, but it's a Dorset thing, something to do with a beery rag being thrown about, I believe, but. Not entirely sure.
That's a new one on me as well.
Yeah, that's. If anybody knows what to have.
Well, let's be fair. I'm the only Dorset man that's here.
Well, I've been in Dorset for a long time now. Ooh, I've been in Dorset 23 years. Another 2 years, they start talking to me.
Don't hold your breath on that one.
I was going to say the only reason I put up from you is because I'm from Somerset. Yeah. So. Champion stuff. And then if anybody's involved in perhaps there's a Dorset Classic Dwyle flunking club, perhaps they can get in contact with us. 01935804669. Email us studio@abbey104.com, or of course tweet us on the Sports Hour Twitter account, which is @sportonabbey104. Is all the ways to get in contact with us if you know anything about Dwyle flunking, or if you just want to get involved with the show at all. And we're always looking for for clubs to come in so that they can publicise themselves. We've had Chris come in from the Classic Scramble Club. We want more people to get into the studio that we can talk to and talk about their clubs. So please do get in touch if you can and if you want to. Just before I round off the show, Chris, did you have any shout outs, any hellos you wanted to say?
Well, I think I really covered that because I wanted to talk to the two guys that are actually out there doing the work tonight. So maybe
I think you said enough about them.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the work anymore if they're listening.
Or speaking to me with a bit of luck.
Deary me. Okay, cracking stuff. As long as that's all covered.